Hey everybody, this is Sabrina. Welcome back to my channel. I know that we are moving fast into December and holiday projects, but I really wanted to do another reading journal update. This time it is for July. And with July, I'm moving into my second journal. This does not mean that I am done with volume 1. I am so behind on reading reviews. Do you guys remember me telling you at the beginning of this year, this was a crazy endeavor to do reviews for everything? I did it in 2020 and I didn't finish, and I thought to myself, hey, I could try one more time. Yeah, I tried one more time and I am not so great at it. I just try to talk way too much. I tried to leave so many thoughts. It's just so much, and I need to just simplify it and tell myself, one line is enough. It's more than enough. So anyways, I have a lot to share and a lot to catch up on. So I hope you guys are still enjoying these reading journal videos. I am starting off July by making another year of books page. Since I'm making the book covers so much bigger, I'm going to wind up with 4 total sections of year of books since they are so big. And I'm using the same stamps to stamp out books. I think 2024 is the same as well. And I'm also using the same washi tape. And then I can start to adhere down the books. I think July was a total of 14 books. Normally July is the month that I read the most books out of the entire year. But so far for this year, it is June. So June is the big month so far. Kind of a bummer that I couldn't read a ton of books in July, but that's okay. 14 is still awesome. And I kicked off the month by finishing the Bergman brothers. I think that's how you say their last name. But it is a fantastic romance series. And I finished the last one called Only and Forever. And one of my goals this year, my big goals, was to finish 3 series. I think it was 3 series or 4 series. And I also listened to one nonfiction audiobook by Crystal Hefner, Only Say Good Things. That was really fascinating, very interesting. So I've got those books all adhered down. Now I have to go grab the volume 1 and fill in the rest of the stats, starting off with goals. I think I finished up the 5th one, or I just added some, but I definitely finished number 7, and I added a box to fill in number 9, which is the series. And like I said in previous months, 50,000 pages is a lot. I didn't really think about that, so I need to kind of rethink that for 2025. And now I'm going to fill in the stats here. I have 14 books, and I think it was 10 physical and 4 audio, and no Kindle books, I think, but I wrote it wrong, but that's okay. And then I am going to have to come back and do the library stats because I forgot to grab my receipts. Next up is the shelfie, and I just fill in the various titles. I did another book that was from 12 Friends Challenge. None of this is true. I think my friend Erica recommended that book, and it was a crazy thriller of a book. Definitely a fun book. I also continued the graphic novel series, Lore and Olympus. I think it was volume 6, I believe. But I am so ready for Hades and Persephone to make a love connection here. Slow burn is the definition of this graphic novel, but volume 6 was definitely amazing, and I absolutely loved it. It was so good. So here's the problem that I've discovered with this 2024 bookshelf. I used colored pencils to fill in my books, and instead of remembering what the colored pencils were, I completely forget. I forget every single month. So if I do use colored pencils again, then I need to take a picture at the beginning of the year of the names of the colored pencils, so that way I can remember, because this is such a pain to get out a ton of different colored pencils and hope that they match. I would love, to do, I've seen it on TikTok or Instagram or somewhere, where you make a bookmark of the spines of your books. And I think that looks really fantastic. But to me, in all my research for looking for book covers, it is very difficult to find book covers sometimes for certain books. And so I don't think doing the spines of books would work very well. So I just have to stick with stamping. I'm trying to figure out which color I should fill in for my Goodreads challenge. I am going to fill in 83 to 96. So I'm almost to my goal of 110. I think I reached the goal by the end of August, I believe. And now that we're moving into December, I would love to get to 150. That would be absolutely amazing. I think at this moment I'm at 135, I believe. There's been quite a few books in October and November that took me quite a while to get through. I filled in a few of the alphabets. I think I had J was just for this summer. And I also did the Housemaid's Secret for H, and then realized that I should have done How to Age Disgracefully, because that would have been better. I don't know. I've told you guys before, I'm so picky with which books I add to the ABC order, and I don't know. I don't need to be so picky, but I am. And I filled in the book for the 12 Friends challenge. I forgot to print the one for the United States challenge, and I'm moving on to the romance challenge, which I completely fill up the page, and I don't really have a plan on how to either finish this page or continue this page, because one of the book covers goes all the way to the bottom and it's going to cover up some of the stamping. So I just, for now, put that cover right over the top and called it good enough, and I can just move on. And I guess I did realize that I did print the book for Ellie Black, but I didn't even leave the rating, so I don't know what I was doing or what I was thinking. Grabbed my receipts, and while I love the idea of this library savings, it has been such a pain to try to keep track of my savings. Such a pain. I did not realize how difficult this would be, because usually I save all the receipts, but I just cannot keep track of them. Okay, so moving on to the calendar for July. For this year, my calendar was 2 pages, and I'm currently working on trying to figure out a way to make 2025 calendar pages 1 page, but we shall see. For now, it's the 2 pages, and then I just draw it in using, the measurements that I have for how many dots and everything like that. And I wind up doing, the 7 columns and then 4 or 5 rows. And I extend it onto both pages. And since it is July, I'm going to do some really bright summer colors. I have the book cover up in the top right of the screen, and you can see that it is Birding with Benefits. It's a spicy romance set in Arizona and has everything to do with bird watching, and I absolutely loved it. It was amazing. So my colors are based off of that. The only thing that I realized is I don't have any cactus washi tape. I had one that I found, but it was more of the teals and not the colors that were going to work. I also don't have any cactus stamps. So I'm just going to make sure that I try to get the colors as close as I possibly can. But I will definitely get even closer with the colors when I do a favorites book spread for Birding with Benefits sometime down the road, right? Because like I said, I'm so behind. I use this bright green washi tape and also some pink washi tape. I wanted to fill in the bottom of the calendar and also put some on the top left corner. And then I'm also going to do some where the month is for July and do kind of a stacking column situation. I don't know what I was intending to do, but I'm going with stamps, washi, stamp, washi. So it's a pattern, it's a mix, it's something different. The main stamp set that I'm using is from Syncopation Designs. It's a new one called Bookish Vibes, so that is one I'll be using. I have a stamp phrase that I'm going to stamp less people, more books. I'm also going to add a shelf. There was another circle phrase that said less scrolling, more reading, and then a little smiley face. So lots of great stamp sentiments in that stamp set. Jennifer always does fantastic stamp sets for reading. So I also stamped Bookish, but I decided to, did I already say that? But I stamped it in pink and also the smiley faces in pink, and I'm going to color everything in with colored pencils. I also wanted to fill in the rest of that calendar box, so I decided to stamp I love reading, and I took a piece of paper so that way I could split I love reading on the left and the right hand side, and I like how that turned out. So the little shelf I'm going to color in with the various colors and finish that up before I start drawing in the days that I read books. And you can see here I am constantly testing my pencils to see what color they are. I am starting to think that I need to make some sort of guide so that way I can determine what my colors are without having to test every single time. I remember seeing on Instagram Julie Plans. She did a color-coded guide and then numbered her pencils. I know that's a great system, but I don't know if I want to do that. But I'm very tempted, and I might just do it because I spend so much time testing my pencils every single time that I want to use them. Okay, so I'm nearly finished with my bookshelves and also coloring in less scrolling, more reading. And then I can go ahead and start on what I read for July. I started off the month listening to None of This Is True and reading the book Only and Forever. I like to put the books that I am physically reading that I'm not listening to. I'd like to put those up at the top, and then audiobooks go down below. The next book that I read was The Return of Ellie Black, which was a really awesome book. And after that was Funny Story by Emily Henry. Absolutely loved that one as well. It was a fantastic romance. Same thing with Just for the Summer. And then we had some road trips my family and I did. So I read several of these over, our road trips, like Days of Wonder. I think I finished that in 2 days. And it was very, very interesting. And I took a lot of notes on that one. So for that one, doing the book review will be super easy. Because that's the other thing. I just want to keep reading. I don't necessarily want to stop and take notes or stop and do a review. And I don't know, you guys, it's hard to do reviews, I feel like. I just feel like it's hard to do reviews. But I am determined to finish my journals as much as I want to. I think that's the key word. As much as I want to, and then just call it a day. As I was putting this together, I noticed how many books I started on Saturday. So that's definitely going to be one of those special categories that I include in my stats. The end of the month was Birding with Benefits, and on another road trip, I read How to Age Disgracefully, which was just utterly fantastic. I think it's considered uplit, and I just love the cast of characters and how they came together for each other. It's so good. And I actually just listened to another uplit book called The Lonely Hearts Club, because I needed to read a book that took place in Idaho or Montana or Wyoming, in that region. And Lonely Hearts Book Club took place in Idaho, and it was so good. It might be an all-time favorite. I just loved it. The narrator also did a fantastic job bringing each of the characters to life. You saw that I highlighted the books based on whether they were audio or they were a physical book. Now I am just using my Sharpie pen to fill in the pencil lines that I already laid down, because I like to do it in pencil so that way I kind of know where everything is. Make sure I didn't forget anything, but I did forget the genres. Genres are going to go on the right hand side, and as I was looking at volume 1, I realized that was what I was missing. So thankfully I didn't forget it. And once I'm done filling all of these in with pen, I can go ahead and get started on stamping in the various stats. And with the book cover, Birding with Benefits, plus the markers and the colored pencils, it's going to come out to be a very colorful summary page. So I'm excited for you guys to see how it's going to come together. And of course, using my trusty circle that I have, it's the 2x2 circle. The stamp set is an outline one from Kerri Bradford. I have no idea if it's available anymore. If it is, I will put it in the description box. I wanted a smaller, smaller alpha to put up at the top, but I feel like this one's almost too small. But I'm not going to redo it because obviously I could redo it if I wanted to, but it's not worth it. So I stamped July stats, and later on I will color it. Or maybe I'm going to color it right now. But I decided to color it a really bright yellow, which coordinates well with the book cover that I will add later on. And for the rest of the numbers, I am going to color those in with colored pencils instead of Tombow, because this type of journal, it does do a little bit of bleed through. So I'm currently researching journals on Amazon for higher quality paper, because I thought about going with an Archer and Olive, but Archer and Olive with the shipping and the tax, it's like basically double the price of a journal. So you have the price of the journal, then double it, and that's how much it costs. And I'm like, that's just kind of silly. So I think I found one on Amazon that has higher quality paper. So I'm going to go with that one, test it out, and if it works, I'll keep it and share with you guys how my journal comes together for next year at the end of December. So for the stats so far, I have the average rating at 4.34 because there was a lot of books that I really loved as favorites. It was a great month for reading. I read nearly 5,000 pages, only 25 pages off from 5,000. And I also listened to audiobooks, 37.65. I think that's actually a little lower than normal. But like I said, we went on a few road trips because it was summer. I am surprised, though, that I didn't read nearly as much as I could have, because it was so hot in July, ridiculously hot. But there was a lot of laying around and just watching TV because could not do anything else. I couldn't focus on anything else. Oh, the heat is brutal. So once I have all my stats stamped, I wanted to use my sand eraser to kind of erase what I didn't need anymore, and also include, the name of what the stat is. And you can see here, I just added in the genres as well. And now I'm going to work on my bar graph. If you've watched any of my other reading journal videos, I've kind of struggled with this bar graph. Like, I'm just not good at adding in a bar graph. I'm not. But I decided to just copy exactly what Storygraph has, and Storygraph skipped. It seems like they skipped a few numbers, and so that's what I decided to do. It looks like they skipped 4.5 and 4.75 since I didn't rate any of those books, those numbers. So it made it easier to put together the bar graph. I think that's part of the problem. For next year, I need to include more room to make a bar graph, if that makes sense. So I hope you guys are enjoying not only me putting this together, but also talking about how I'm going to make improvements for next year. Because like I said, I'm definitely already thinking about 2025's journal and how I can simplify things. Really simplify things. Or just hopefully, just make it easier on myself. I colored in the different bar graphs, the different ratings with Tombow markers. That I thought that would be a really fun, bold choice there. But as you can see, I am just all over the place as far as how I'm filling in my journal and just bouncing from spot to spot. I just stamped a really sassy stamp that I love from the new stamp set, Bookish Vibes. It says, "Good girls read dirty books." So I just love that. I love it because it pairs well with the Birding with Benefits, which is a spicy romance, like I mentioned. So the genres I picked were contemporary, romance, thriller, mystery, memoir, literary, fantasy, and graphic novel. So a great mix of different books. And then over on the bottom right-hand side, bottom left-hand side, I'm going to start to write in my various stats. So I had the 3 fun categories I picked were started on Saturday, romances, and finished a series. But for now, I just colored in nonfiction versus fiction. It was only one nonfiction in July, and one in July, and now I'm coloring in my girl reading her spicy romance. Like I said, I'm all over the place putting this together. And what am I listening to right now? I just finished, like I said, the Lonely Hearts Club, and now I'm starting an Irish Christmas. I think that's what it is. But like the Irish Christmas only has one narrator, and it's a lady, which is fine, totally fine. But when they do the guys' voices, I don't know. I would think of like a deep Irish accent. Like, I don't know why. That's what came to my mind. But the voices that they have for the 2 men characters, it almost makes them sound like leprechauns. I don't know. They're very high pitched. I don't know. They don't come across as deep, strapping, handsome men. Because like one is a carpenter and another one is like a viscount running a castle. So I don't know. I got off on a tangent there, but that's just like my pet peeve right now with this book. Like the accents do not match the descriptions of the men that are in the book. I am coloring in the different stats that I have. So like the total number of books was green and the hours listened was pink. And now I'm going to work on dividing up my pie chart. I always try to go with 6 different categories. That's generally how Storygraph does it. Well, they do like the main ones and then the rest. I don't know how they decide it, but I go with 6. And so the big one this month was emotional, which was usually what happens for me is emotional is the top one. But I was surprised to see that the next biggest chunk was funny. So I liked that. That was great. And then the third one is going to be hopeful. The fourth one was lighthearted. And then after that was tense. And I think my kids were home at this point, and so I got distracted and I picked the wrong pink color and it looked, I don't know what the word is, but it looked obnoxious. So I had to get rid of it. So I'm going to cover it up with paper once I get there. So I color in the pie chart, fill it in the little square, and then write it out with my pen. So you can see here I just filled in the 4th one, and the 5th one is where I totally goofed and got distracted. And I'm just going to, like I said, blame it on my kids. But I did not like that pink. I don't feel like it went well at all. Thankfully, I have a whole stack of the grid paper, so I can go ahead and just easily fix that. I wanted to color in some more of my stats, and I think I mentioned the 3 special categories, but I did not say what they were. So started on Saturday was 5. I had 5 books I started on Saturday. I had 6 romances, and then like I mentioned earlier, I finished 1 series, which is very exciting. My goal was 3, but I think I'm only going to wind up getting 1. I came close, or maybe I did finish, but the Hawthorne Boys series, oh my gosh, I can't remember it. It's by Jamie Lee Barnes or something, but it's about the inheritance. A girl inherits some money, and I may have finished that series. I just don't know why I can't think of the name of the series, but I may have finished that one. But there is a new spin-off for that particular series now that Avery has the money and can decide what to do with it. But anyways, I will check that for next month in August. So once I get to this point, I thought I was done, but then I was like, it feels like something is missing from the page. And what was missing is just decorating with a little bit more stamping. I also wanted to add in the total number of paper books, which was 10, Kindle was 0, and audio was 4. And I mentioned earlier, I got it wrong in my stats page up in volume 1, but it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. So we're just going to keep moving along. The stamp sets I'm going to grab are from Ali Edwards, and I'm just going to go with like greenery and flowers and leaves, which matches the theme of birding with benefits and nature. So I'll stamp the greenery in green, of course, and I'll stamp it in several different spots. I also found a really big leaf that's from an Ali Edwards scrapbook kit, stamp kit, and the leaf, I mean, of course, leaves can be a lot of different colors, so this time I decided on a warm yellow color, which I loved. I also did the greenery in pink as well and just layered in the stamps in different spots. Now, for the leaf up in the top corner and in the spine, I took it off the stamp block and just used my finger so that way I could get the full impression of the stamp. And for the leaf inside, I stamped orange, so lots of bright colors, and then a soft, tiny pink flower added in different spots to finish it up. So I hope you guys have enjoyed seeing this reading journal update. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye.